Hi guys, and welcome to Carbon Footprint Calculator developed using JavaScript. All right, let me show you guys how this works. I'm going to reset and let's enter some other data in there. That's for the electricity, then for the fuel usage. And here, let's say for the transportation. All you then need to do is to click on calculate the carbon footprint, and that's how it works. So I can exit out. So I'm going to say cancel, or you can just exit out. Now we are in Notepad++. You can download Notepad++ and install it for free. So I'm going to start by going to File up here. But before then, let's start by clicking on Language. And let's select HTML. Select H and click on HTML. And next, I'm going to enter the following data in there for my HTML. Well, before I go any further, let me just go to File and save this project. Save as Carbon Footprint YT. Save that. All right. Now, I'm going to give it a title. I'll just call that Carbon Footprint. Carbon Footprint Calculator. And next, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just define the body for the CSS. So let's say body. And I'm going to take care of the font family first. So it's going to be Arial and sans serif. Next, let's get it aligned center. Next, I'm going to define my background color. And I'll just make that something a bit whitish. Let's say F4. There. And that takes care of my background. Next, I'm going to create the container that I intend to use. So let's say container and declare the maximum width. Let's change that to maximum width. I'm going to make that about 800 pixels. Then get it merged. That will be auto. There we go. And next, the background. I'm just going to make that white. Let's say background. You can make that just white. Next, the padding. We can go for about 20 pixels. What about border? We can make that border radius. Border radius. Going to be radius, and that should be, let's go for about 15 pixels. Next, I'm going to say the box shadow, and that should be 0, 0. Let's go for 15 pixels. And we're using RGBA. Then we have our color setting in there, 0, 0, 0. And dot 3. Yeah. So that takes care of my container. And next, I'm going to create something for the, I'm going to call it H1. The H1, I'm going to be using that for my edits or for the title. So let's say H1. Let's do something in this. Okay. All right. So H1. And that is going to be the set for the font size. And we're going to make that about 46 pixels. That's for the font size. Now, I want to get it underlined. So just so decorate make that underline. There we go. Okay, I just had to speed that up. This is for the label, and this is going to be for my inputs. And here, this will be for my result. And the next one is the buttons. So that is all of the CSS taken care of for the object that I intend to use. So let's take it from the top. Have a good look at that. Bring it down, down, there. So next, create a body in here, and inside the body, we're now going to define our class. So let's define that first. Create a division in between, and this class is going to be known as container, the one right up there. So all that container, that is that taken care of. So I might as well just close this here so that I can mistakenly leave it out. So in there, I'm now going to define my heading. So let's say H1 is going to be carbon calculator, this very one. So let's just grab hold of that, paste it right there, and close that off. H1. Oops. So that's my heading taken care of. Next is going to be the label. So let's come in here and just enter label. For first one, that should be a 4. And next is going to be, let's call it electricity. Electricity, and here the display will be electricity. Let's just call this electricity usage in kilowatts. Yeah, and just close that. Without the label. There we go. So that's the first component taken care of. The next one is going to be the input that will take in the value. So for the input, so just enter input in here. An input is going to be taken in, let's say, type that is going to take in, that will be number. All right, then the ID in this case is going to be, let's use electricity equals electricity. That should be in the quotes. Yeah. So place order for it. Just told that enter electricity usage. There we go. And that takes care of that. So let's take care of the fuel. I'm going to copy this and we'll come right down here. Let's take care of the fuel and just change this from electricity to fuel. Right. And it's taking number as well, but what is the fuel usage? Let's change that to fuel usage. Okay. And here is taking fuel as well. And here we just need to say enter fuel usage. All right, that takes care of the next one. So let's take care of the last one. And this is going to be for the transport usage. So when you're carrying out your calculation, you look at the electricity, the amount of fuel used, and the transportation. So let's come in and just enter transport. Okay, so transport is also going to be here, just enter transport usage. Like this. And here is going to be number, and here that'll be the transport, and here enter transport usage. Okay, all of that is taken care of. And finally here, I'm going to create another one just for my result. I'll call that P, and that's taking the ID. The ID is that is taking it be the result. There we go. And let's close that off there. That's for my result taken care of. Next, well, let's just save this. If I decide to run it now, we should be able to see just 1, 2, 3 altogether. We have about 6. So let's go back in and see. It's called from carbon footprint. There we go. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So minimize that. Now let me create some buttons underneath here. Right underneath my result, I will first of all create a division in between, and that is going to be, just block it off though. Yeah. And that is going to be button. And this button is going to be using the click events. And what am I clicking? I'm going to call that calculate, uh, let's say carbon footprint. Carbon footprint, that is the function that I'm creating now. Okay, carbon footprints. Yeah, that will do. Calculate carbon footprints. Let's change it to calculate. Calculate carbon footprints. Change this to lowercase. Okay. Yeah, that will do. That's the function that I'm going to click later on. And in here, I can just enter calculate. Calculates. Okay. Let's close up the button. That's the first button. Taken care of. Okay. If I save it and do and just double click on that, we should have a button there. That's my button right there. All right, so let's copy this button across for exit and loop and resets. All right, for the reset, I'm gonna call that I reset. And here I just enter reset flags. And this one is going to be I exit. And I just enter I exit here. Enter exit here. There we go. Now run, open it up and refresh. We should have our 3 buttons now. There we go. That's that done. Okay, looking good so far. Now that that is done, you now need to take care of the scripts. Remember the name of my calculator for the script is calculates carbon footprint. So come right down here and let's take care of that inside the script right there. So it's a function carbon footprint. Enter my braces in there. And next is then let's use a try statement. So declare the following variable, constant electric, let's say electricity emission factor. Yeah. So my first variable is going to be electricity emission factor. So let's say that is about 0.5, and the other fuel emission factor. So let's just copy this and change it around. So next is going to be fuel emission factor. And that is going to be about 2.53. Okay. Then finally, we have the transport emission factor. So those are the constant value for those ones. So 0.5 as well. Yeah, that will do. Okay, now let's take care of the calculation. So I'm going to say constant electricity usage. Electricity usage will be that. Okay, grab all of all of these and bring it right down here. And that is good. Let's use uppercase for this usage, electricity usage. Yeah, that's fine. And that's going to be equals pass, make that a float number. And that is going to be document dot get elements by ID. And this ID I'm referring to is going to be that of electricity usage. Electricity. So close that off, dot value. So whatever we have in there that you enter inside the electricity, that's what we're talking about, this one. Okay. Next. That is done. We now need to take care of the calculation for the fuel usage as well. Might as well just grab all of this. Down, that's meant to be for transport. So change this to fuel usage. Fuel usage. And here is going to be fuel. There. And finally, it's going to be the transport usage. For the transport usage, and take care of this as well. There. So store all our value right in here. It's all converted to floating number and stored right in here. All right. That is all done. That's fine. Now let's use an if statement. If there's nothing inside any of these, I just want a message to display. So let's say if it's not electricity usage, grab all of electricity usage and close that off, or it's not fuel usage. So I can grab all of these and just change it to one. If it's not fuel usage, all right. Yep, that is correct. Or if it's not transport usage. Okay, to close that off, enter statement block. And in here, I'm going to get an alert to say as follows. So let's say alert. And just say, please enter valid number. There we go. Then we need to reset. I'm going to call the reset now. So let's come in there and just say I resets. There we go. And return. There. But if it all goes as wanted, and I want all the calculations to take place, so I'm going to come right underneath here, copy that and paste that in here and change it around. So let's say the following variable. I'm going to change this to electricity emission. So get rid of the factor there. So electricity emission is going to be electricity usage, this very one here. I will multiply that by the electricity emission factor, this very one. There. Okay, the first one is taken care of. Next is going to be this very one, fuel. Let's grab all of that and get rid of this. So fuel emission is going to be fuel usage multiplied by fuel emission. There we go, that's done. Next, let's take care of the transport. So we say transport emission. So multiply that by transport usage. There we go. All of that is taken care of. Now, to work out the whole lot, let's add them inside what I'm going to call maybe total usage or total emission. Emission. Let's bring it in. Total emission, that would be equals all of this together. So we just add them over this plus this and plus transport emission. There we go. That is that done. Then to display our result, we're going to be using the documents. So let's grab hold of the document ID that is known as results. Okay, so we can grab hold of all of these. Now right underneath here, say document ID. Documents ID is going to be results because that's where we display our final outputs, results, and that's going to be in text. Dot enter text. And that is going to be equals, let's say, total. Let's get this indented. And let's say total carbon footprint. And also footprint. Plus total emission. So this will be displayed and the total calculation for emission. Okay, total emission dot to fix. So 2 decimal. Plus the following kilogram and CO2. 2 lowercase. That's in CO2. There. Now, Let's use close that, and let's say cache. If there's any problem, error, there's any error, I want this message box to display the following. So we can just say error calculating error calculating carbon footprint. Okay, that will do that. Okay, that is that done. Next, let's finalize all of the buttons. The resets, this very one. Okay, reset function and exit function. So come right underneath here. Function reset. I want you to display the following. So that's going to be document. Grab that, dump it here. Document dots, get item by the ID, get element by the ID. That's ID in this case is electricity. Okay, electricity. Let's just copy this. Okay. Okay. We want electricity. And next is going to be the fuel. Where the fuel. Transports. Where results is there, and we have electricity. We can ask it to focus on electricity once we clear it. Let's say dot focus. Dot focus. As that one is done, then we want the result here. Dot inner text. Clear that. Then this transport is going to be by value. So in there we can just say dot value. Dot value. That is equals that. The field is dot value as well. Value, and this is value. And that takes care of my resets. And finally, let's take care of exits. I exits. Function I exit. So using an if statement. So if confirm are you sure you want to exit? Add a question mark, close that. Then we just say window dot close. There. All right. I think that is it all done. So let's save and try this out. I'm going to open it up and refresh. Okay, let's enter some value in there. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And ooh, error. Okay, let's see. I must have done something wrong. All right. I'm going to go back in the code. Okay, right here. Okay, look, check this out. You see here? That should be lowercase. And the same thing, because I copied it, the same thing applies to all of these. That should be lowercase, guys. I should have one here and 3 up there. Yeah. Yeah, look at it. There we go. All right. This just for your information is case sensitive. So let's make sure we get it right. Let's go back up here and just bring it down. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So far, I can't see any error. All right. I think all the errors are taken care of. Okay, guys, let's run it again. I'm going to save it first. And let's open it up. Right there. Okay. So enter some value. And here, there we go. Look at that. Resets, brilliant. And that is how you create your own carbon footprint using Python, guys. There. So with that, I'm going to call it the end of this brilliant tutorial. I suppose you guys enjoy it, and please do subscribe to my channel, and you can also join to become a member of the channel. You all have a nice day now, and bye for now.